Black Clover, that one little known anime that everyone immediately discarded due to its sheer genericness. Yes, that is a word. So I'm not gonna do the whole underdog bullshnizzle where, oh, I'm such a legend, covering the shows no one else will. Oh, I could just imagine all the hate I'll be getting for this. I'm risking my career here as the hero you didn't deserve, but the hero you needed. None of that. I don't like that. I mean, feel free to think that I'm the hero that you didn't deserve, but you needed. But it's not like you heard that from me or anything, you bakas. So no holds barred. I'm excited to talk to you guys about why Black Clover's power system at this point in time is my third favorite power system in all of anime. But Nux, you're not allowed to give personal opinions that differ from the norm. I'm in a weird mood today writing this script, and I hope I'm in the same mood when it comes to recording the video, or I will greatly regret my actions. Has anyone else noticed that when I get tired, I totally just become a sarcastic tsundere? Well, no? Just me? Okay, well, screw you too, bakas! Like most anime power systems, different people have different affinities to different types of magic, where no two people have identical magical powers. Case in point, Finral and Langris are brothers, and were both brought up in the same way. That said, they both use spatial magic, which is freaking cool, by the way. And despite that, it's manifested differently in each of them. Finral can open little dimensional fissures, connecting different points in space. This is useful magic when it comes to traveling large distances and when it comes to supporting allies in fights, either teleporting away enemy attacks or opening holes that his allies can jump out of and stab swords up the enemy's asshole, which totally didn't happen, wink wink. But his brother Langris, who also uses spatial magic, his took the shape of very offensive magic. By merely swiping his hand, he can erase anything before him from existence. This seemingly almost broken offensive power, while unlike having the advantages of Finral's, Langris's can do one thing. Granted, it may or may not be absolute freaking hacks, but it's hacks unique to him. Not to mention, Finral's personality is far more passive, soft, and cowardly, whereas Langris is a jackhammer, facing forward, aiming forward, and doing anything to make any obstacle in front of him disappear. So it's all too fitting that their spatial magics, while similar, each took a drastic turn based on their individuality. And honestly, that is a level of individuality to everyone's magic that really made me dig deeper, to the point that it's my third favorite magic system, easily. In Naruto, unless you have a Sharingan or a reincarnation of Ninja Jesus, the magic system affinities fall into 5 categories of Chakra Natures. Anyone with an affinity to fire can train and use the Fireball Jutsu. Granted, fire doesn't burn in anime unless you're FMA and actually care about science, but you get my drift. Kekkei Genkai, for example, only comes to those born into the right family, and gives a massive advantage against a layman ninja. In Black Clover, even if you have an affinity to a certain magic element, it's not like you can obtain the entirety of fire magic's move pool. Every large spell is learned based on the individual caster, on their personality, and on their life experiences. But if you think I'm implying it immediately gives off a Nen vibe, that's incorrect, because, well, Nen, the unanimously decided best power system in all of anime, has a fundamental difference to Black Clover's magic. And if I'd have to briefly describe it, would be that Nem is a power system based on the user's personality, granted, but it's focused on the character's mental state. Whereas Black Clover's magic is granted based on the character's personality, but it's based on their emotional state. And to describe this clearer, let's talk about the cause and effect of the power of friendship, everyone's favorite phrase, for a brief moment. With Nen, you want to protect your friend, and because of that, you mentally place a condition upon yourself to unlock more power. Whereas with Black Clover's magic, you want to protect your friend, and it's that emotion that unlocks more power. Not as a hack's adrenaline boost, like you see in Fairy Tail, but it's actually built into the magic system brilliantly, as I'll come to explain. Both are good, both are different. Nen is the pinnacle of power systems for a multitude of reasons. That's not really the point here. To actually describe Black Clover's magic in comparison, it would be as a less complicated emotional Nen, and that would not be all too far from the truth. Black Clover has its own edge that makes it stand out more than the pure, cool, different powers based on rad personality. Because that alone, while integral to why it's great, as you'll see in a few moments, it isn't the end-all that made it my third favorite power system ever. So let's talk about training in Black Clover. With JoJo's as the big exception to the rule, every shonen power system needs to incorporate some degree of training, because otherwise it really cheapens every battle, cutting it down to whoever was born with the stronger ability wins. That said, I greatly appreciate when training, granted, has a big impact on the level of a character's strength, but at the same time, if it's just training that gets the character to a point, and then that character just rushes into battle at that point of power, then unfortunately we get into bad power of friendship. The annoying thing about power of friendship in something like Fairy Tail is that not only do we not see Natsu train, even though we know he did, but the power system itself does not incorporate mid-battle growth. Adrenaline boosts can increase someone's strength by up to like 25%. So I would understand if the power of friendship would do something like that. It's when the character's power is quadrupled because of this power of friendship that it slightly gets annoying. As I've mentioned, Hunter x Hunter takes care of this situation in spades because Gon vs. Pito was one of the most legendary anime fights ever. Within the confines of the power system of Nen, Gon placed the ultimate condition on himself where he was willing to die to unlock enough power to win that fight. In Black Clover, I like that training is infrequently shown despite the fact that it's heavily implied that it's done often. So for someone like Asta, we know his training is just increasing his physical strength. For someone like Noelle, her training is just training to control and focus her water magic better without losing focus, and it splashes everywhere randomly, wiping out half her allies. What I'm trying to say is it's primarily base growth that happens during training in Black Clover, kind of like how training in Hunter x Hunter increases base Nen. You don't have the characters in Black Clover training arc saying, "Hey fam, I'm gonna teach you how to do the Rasen Shuriken, so let's spend 40 episodes of slicing up waterfalls." Again, I'm not saying this in detriment to Naruto, because the idea of a ninja is based on excruciatingly difficult training, and I do love the chakra system as well. In Black Clover, though, there are no defined jutsus that mages can just teach one another, and that brings me to my favorite point and the main reason I decided to go ahead and make this video, trying to give Black Clover the credit it deserves in regards to its power system, and that is, how do mages learn new spells? If it's not something that could be taught and it's only based on the individual, where does the learning aspect come in? Is it open a booster pack of magic powers and it's like, hey, I got a super rare fireball jutsu? No, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Power system is a whole nother beast that I probably will never cover, even though I am working on a Yu-Gi-Oh! Video. Every mage can do the generic stuff. That's no problem. It's when it comes to the intricate techniques only available to be used by an individual, that's what gets jotted down in their grimoires. And it's how they initially show up in the grimoires that I find fascinating. And I will highlight what I love about it through an example that took place in the series. And this example will focus on the character Gauche, easily the biggest douche in the Black Bulls, and of course I mean that as a compliment. I genuinely believe him to be a great character despite his slight little sister fetish. Don't worry, it's not weird at all. This is anime. I'm sure you used it already. I believe we live in a society where I just said that. Anyway, Gauche uses mirror magic and everything that entails. To describe his basic personality, in a single phrase, it would be self-centered to the extent of blatant immorality. And that makes up every fiber of his being psychologically, as well as why he does everything he does. He's in love with his little sister. Granted, I'm pretty sure it's not in a sexual way, but then again, this is anime. We don't know what's done behind the scenes, you know what I mean? And you know who else doesn't know what happens behind the scenes? The nun lady. So of course, there's a restraining order on him to keep him away from his sister, or he only gets monthly, relatively creepy visitation rights. This creepiness of his even landed him in jail, and the only reason why he's out is because he's now affiliated to the magic guild known as the Black Bulls, a rather off-the-beaten-path group of magic knights that make the Fairy Tail Guild look composed and utterly normal. Yeah, I have to do a Black Bulls video. But again, he's a magic knight, which is the most selfless of positions, but at the same time, he's only there to not be imprisoned and get his monthly Emoto-chan. At least those who become knights for prestige and honor, rather than actually helping anyone, they're doing the right actions for morally relatively upright reasonings. Gauche ain't at all. And don't get me wrong, he ain't totally sane aside from that either. When his sister was getting along with Asta, Gauche tried to kill Asta, which is, well, rather impolite. So of course, his mirror magic reflects his personality perfectly. Did you see what I did there? I know, pretty genius. Because what someone sees when looking directly into a mirror is only themselves. One of his go-to attacks is making a reflection of himself and turning that into a clone to fight alongside him. Because he never stands beside others and he only acts for himself. Even his love for his sister, which, despite being a little weird, it's a false self-serving love. His sister was having fun with Asta and it pissed him off. If he truly loved his sister, he should be happy to see her happy, but he's not. He's only happy to see her happy when she's happy because of him. When a ton of children get kidnapped to get their magic energy drained, he rushes in to save his sister and he leaves the rest behind. Quite the upstanding knight, I know. Much to be learned from this fellow. Interestingly enough, though, this acts as a polar opposite to Asta, who takes his job as a magic knight completely seriously, to the simplest of definitions. But unlike Gauche, who has a surprisingly tremendous amount of magic power, Asta has none but still fights, where his motto is, "Not giving up is my magic." Which honestly, as far as the cringy protagonist shonen mottos go, this This is easily my second favorite after Prepare for Trouble
and make it double.
No, that was not an excuse to just do my James voice, okay? Freaking love my James voice. But it's because that motto of Asta really encapsulates what's special about him. Obviously, it's a phrase that isn't taken literally, but it goes to show just how powerful a positive mental state is, because Asta's not deluding himself. He's genuinely happy, and that is another future video topic I'm eager to cover, because there aren't a lot of genuinely happy shonen protagonists, and it's a shame, because it's a pleasure to have them on screen, because it just makes me happy. Being in a positive mental state affects those around you, just like how a negative one can spoil everyone's moods in the vicinity. And this is the quality of Asta that Ghosh started vibing with. It was years of him in solitude, never finding happiness. He lived for his brief sister visits, and those brief visits flew by as very transient happiness. He lived every moment just hoping it would pass faster so he can get to those impossibly short moments where he at least thought he was happy. He saw how Asta cared about other people, and how that itself gave Asta the wherewithal to push himself past his limits and genuinely feel happiness and accomplishment. So with that envy lingering in his subconscious, he only saved his sister, who begged him to go back and help everyone else. Normally, the average Ghosh reply would be a hard no, but it's not even that his conversation with Asta directly caused his change of mind. It was the fact that his sister, the only thing in the world that he loved, was begging him to do something, and he just didn't care. He finally, after so many years, realized this love for his sister is purely self-absorbed. In fact, to a certain extent, he doesn't really care about his sister at all as long as she's okay, but that's really only for him. It's a combo of seeing how Asta genuinely cares for other people and being happy doing so, and him seeing in himself that he genuinely doesn't care about the one thing he deluded himself to think he did care about. And that drove him to the point of listening to his sister's wishes and going back to save those children and support Asta in a seemingly impossible fight. And we see that this actually changed his personality distinctly for the remainder of the entire series. He'll always complain about it, but he'll always put up a fight to defend his friends and his guild, because for the first time in his life, he actually considers them friends. Actual two-way friendships are genuine friendships, not those self-centered ones. And it's this slight evolution in his core character via this experience that caused an additional page to be added to his grimoire with a spell that allows him to make a perfect mirror clone of his comrade, where this clone can use that comrade's same exact abilities, acting in perfect sync and as a perfect support to his friend. I feel like all this was necessary to say to accentuate the point that I said earlier about how, while Nen activates the power of friendship via thought, Black Clover's magic activates the power of friendship via feel. In this exact situation, it would have involved Ghosh to make the conscious decision that he wanted to save his friend and be willing to place some form of condition upon himself to allow him to activate a new Nen power that we'd see in Hunter x Hunter. Whereas in Black Clover, similar power of friendship is activated through emotions and subconscious character growth. It's so much simpler and so much less calculated, but it's also really beautiful in a way too. This is my absolute favorite aspect of the Black Clover power system. It's hype and it's original. To see it incorporated into actual character development to such an extent that it makes all the feel moments have such a much higher impact, as we can experience inner character growth in outward, bombastic visual form as opposed to just behind the scenes mental evolution. I feel like this scene is the best and clearest example of this in the entire anime, but it works this way throughout in a fashion that's plain to see once you're looking for it. And all this easily makes Black Clover's power system my third favorite power system in all of anime after Hunter x Hunter, which has been covered kinda to death on YouTube, so I will be doing a video on it, but it will not be a conventional video. Yeah. And in second place, it would be stands from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is a video I intend to work on, well, rather right freaking now! This video was a hell of a lot of fun. I love power systems in anime. Starting to work on stands right after I finish recording this video. Stay tuned for that. Beauties and gentle beauties, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribble if you want more. Black Clover content, anime content, awesome content, be it analysis or satire. Link in the description to my Twitter. Feel free to follow me there. To my merch, feel free to pick some up. And to my Patreon. All patrons are invited to the Discord server. And believe it or not, it's one of my patrons that convinced me to start Black Clover altogether because of the bad rep it got from the community. Thank you, Soy Boy Theories. I love Black Clover. It's a hell of a lot of fun. And thanks especially to King Beat My Meat, Sage of Snake, Steelers, Pop-Up, Grumpy Welshman, Lazy Ronan, Girthy Worm Jin, Allison Stricker, JD Finchery, Laser Sash, Ethan Price, Frisky Dingo, Soy Boy Theories, MDQ, Praise Lord Girugameshu, Billy Thompson, Lord Twigo's Priestess, Salf says, Gremin, Sergeant Malarkey, Alan Weebus, Crazy Beat, Divine Reigns, Miku, and TM Philly. Also thanks to Anthony Booth, Cream My Pancake, Emir Zekik, Rari, Necro, Zintergarten, Cortland Ewing, Zombie Misha, and Kyle the Warrior. That's the God Usopp rank. Thanks to Tyler Schumacher, Dark Element, Sunny Parks, and Maurice Louis Dreyfus. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you haven't yet, I highly suggest a read of Black Clover. The chapters are insanely fast-paced and fun to get through. I definitely appreciate you guys. Thanks for sticking with me on my really weird quest to cover every random topic I feel like covering possible. Hope you enjoy it. Have yourselves the most wonderful evening, and remember to stay weird, fam. But your sisters are off limits.